If any of you guys are familiar with some of my content, the people I interact with, the content creation groups I work with, the content creators I work with, this name should be very familiar to you. Whether you know him from Parapop SMP or from my own old videos and Twitch streams, you would have probably seen a post like this going around, or the post that I had made on Twitter. This video is just going to be a rundown of everything that happened. These are some of the trigger warnings you're going to want to be keeping an eye out for. I'll first be going through just like the bare minimum of everything you need to know that seems necessary to make an informed opinion, and then if you want to keep watching after that to get the full story, that will work. I might have like music playing in the background and the images on screen, maybe some animated bits as well, but it's mostly just because I'm not even sure how to handle this or even go about making something like this, because I had never actually planned to even make a document or a video about this, because it's a lot to have to go back and read through the messages and see how mistreated you were. So this is just the short and simple version. I'm gonna give us a quick rundown. You can keep watching if you want the full detailed version with more screenshots and evidence, but this is for people who don't want to have to see all those horrible messages and hear all the horrible details that happen behind the scenes, during and after the whole situation. So this is just the simple version. I had been dating BobbleBog for about 5 months when on March 30th I was on call with a mutual friend of ours and found out he had been cheating on me with multiple people behind my back since the moment we had started dating. Some people were lied to and manipulated by him into believing I was okay with this behavior, while others knew I was unaware and not okay with it, but continued the relationship with him behind my back nonetheless. When I found out, I messaged him asking about it, and he admitted to it but did not seem even the slightest bit remorseful for his actions. I immediately broke up with him, and the moment I blocked him, he began to reach out to multiple mutual friends of ours, attempting to defend himself and make himself appear in a better light. It wasn't until after the fact that I found out that he had been sexually harassing multiple people in both of our friend circles and outside of them, the whole time we had been dating, and before that even. And after I get to hear about him mistreating all these people and sending them things without permission, I get messages and I find out he was doing similar things towards people who are under the age of 18. There's obviously a lot more said and done over voice calls or over Twitter DMs, because that was easier for him to delete and get rid of evidence for, but this is the proof that we have, and seeing this should be enough to make you think that everything else can pretty much be assumed to be true. So that's the end of the shorter version. I will now be going more in depth about the mistreatment I had experienced in our relationship, and we'll move on from there. I made it very clear from the get-go of our relationship what I was and was not comfortable with, and he had acknowledged and agreed with many of the boundaries. He had even lied about not knowing what certain things were, and I had to explain it to him. Obviously, you can see in earlier screenshots that he did in fact know what these things were and was lying to try and make me feel safer in the relationship. I am asexual and experience zero sexual attraction, but had started testosterone injections around the same time that we had started dating, which brought some confusing feelings. For those of you who don't know, testosterone injections can have many side effects, and one of the possible side effects is an increase in libido. I was very obviously distraught and uncomfortable with these feelings, and he took advantage of this to try and push my boundaries and get what he wants. I'm aware that Bog plans to leak our DMs to clear his name later, but I don't really want to share that more personal, vulnerable side of myself unless I'm forced to. The reason why I mention this is because my boundaries were set when I first started testosterone and was still a little more clear-headed. My boundaries got pushed the longer I was on testosterone and the more vulnerable I was. I had stated multiple times during our relationship that I was not okay with doing anything sexual over call. He had consistently pestered me about it until I gave in on Valentine's Day out of guilt. Even then, I insisted that he stayed muted during the whole ordeal. He encouraged me to also do something, but instead I just muted and watched YouTube until he finally got upset and hung up on me. One of the most clear examples of his manipulation and pressuring me into things I didn't want to do was when I was staying overnight at my grandma's house, and I'm just going to read through these conversations here. After that, we ended up calling anyway because he wouldn't shut up about it, and he kept trying to pressure me into watching porn with him. After that, I kept trying to change the subject to try and get him off of it. I tried to get us to talk about like fandoms we're in, fandoms we liked, favorite characters, fictional crushes, things like that. But every time he'd find a way to twist it back into what he wanted. After a while of not getting what he wanted, though, he ended up hanging up and calling it a night. On March 30th, the last thing that happened before I found everything out and I broke up with him, he had called me in the morning wanting that type of attention, and I was not for it. I at first missed his call, and he was not happy with that. I called him back, and then I ended up hanging up on him. I lied to him saying that they must have kicked him out of the call just because I didn't want to be around him, and then I said I had to go to work, so I didn't have to be part of that situation right now. I don't even know what to say here except for just read these messages. The amount of times I broke down on call with him crying, begging him to never cheat on me, because in every relationship I've had in the past, I've been cheated on, and just having that trust ultimately betrayed. All these nice words telling me how much I mean to him, how much he loves me, how he would never do that to me, and then in the end, still having it happen. I have multiple screenshots of messages of him lying about this one specific person coming to see him. This was one person he cheated on me with regularly throughout our entire relationship. I have a really bad memory due to some trauma in the past, and some of that specifically relates to cheating, which is why I said I know for a fact he did not tell me these things, because I would get extremely paranoid over it. This is the only real proof that we have relating to this specifically, but a mutual friend of ours has 2 pet rats, and he would constantly make comments about choking it or hurting it. I'm a huge fan of snakes and a bunch of other small animals, and if you mentioned it around him, he would make jokes about just being extremely brutal and ruthless with these animals. This again is the only proof that we have of it, but it is, another fucked up thing that he was weirdly into. So this one is much more of him sending pictures of me to other people. I never ever sent him anything explicit of myself because, as I said before, I have no tolerance for that sort of thing, and I have trauma dealing with some of that, so I would never do that sort of thing. But he sent pictures of my face and information about where I went to college, where I went to school, and where I'm currently at to other people. A lot of it is word of mouth, so I don't have screenshots of it, and the screenshots I do have photos of my face in them, so I'm not going to be showing those, obviously. There is much, much more that happened that I didn't put in this, such as him doing things, inappropriate things on call with others without their consent or without them even knowing. But honestly, it's hard enough to put some of this stuff down as I can, and so I'm not going to bring any of that other stuff up unless he forces me to with his quote-unquote statement that will be clearing his name. I'm not going to tell you not to go see whatever statement he does eventually put out, but he has admitted to cropping photos in the past in order to make himself seem better. He's been caught multiple times lying instead of taking accountability for his actions, and then obviously the screenshots I did show in this video can show that he is just one sick, fucked up person in general. And this last bit is just for BobbleBog, because I know you're fucking watching. Quit lying about trying to reach out to me or the people you hurt when you know you didn't. I unblocked you so I could see if you actually did try to reach out and apologize, but even if you did, it does not change the fact that you are being inappropriate towards minors, sexually harassing other people, and then being manipulative and abusive towards me. I am sick and tired of hearing about you trying to clear your name. Maybe these screenshots will finally open up whatever you locked away in your brain to try and make yourself believe you're a better person than you actually are. But you are a bad person. You did bad, unforgivable things, and you will never be forgiven for these things. Your only saving grace was if you maybe took accountability for your actions, and even that would not have saved you from anything at all. You are still a bad person, and you will die a bad person. My only form of sympathy towards you is I was worried you were maybe suicidal or thinking of harming yourself, but you openly bragged about that never being the case and that you would never be that way. And all I can think about is how unfair it is, because I have throughout all of this. With everything going on in my personal life, everything that you have caused, everything going on in my work life, I seem to have been suffering more than you ever have, even though you are the one who deserves to be suffering. All these other people you have hurt did not deserve this. The only one who deserves any sort of pain is you. I hope that these actions follow you for the rest of your life and impact your ability to make friends or have more relationships later on. I hope you struggle getting jobs or getting into colleges and schools because you are not someone who can be trusted around good people. You can go ahead and leak our DMs if you want to. It's not going to change anything. Even if you continue to crop screenshots or if you delete your messages now, I took as many screenshots as I possibly could the night we broke up. Do not reach out to anybody else, because at this point, any apology you give will not be sincere, and it's only because you've been caught in the act. Any other statement you make, I will go step by step personally disprove every single thing you send. And it won't just be me. You've hurt so many people, and there's so much evidence. So many people who will stand behind one another to protect each other because they were all hurt by you. And you have no one, because you hurt literally everyone who cared about you. As for some of the adults who are aware of his actions and did nothing about it, you are just as guilty. I don't plan on making more videos on this unless I have to. For example, if he makes another statement, I'm going to continue posting content. I know a lot of people have already started following me because they feel bad for me in this situation, but please only follow me if you actually enjoy my content. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you are keeping awareness to how you're interacting in an online space, and especially about who you are interacting with. If you or someone you know is going through difficult times with an abusive partner, there are people you can reach out to, and I will be linking those resources below. So please keep yourself safe and watch out for one another.